Holes, by Louis Sachar, is a winner of the Newbery Medal, which features Stanley Yelnats, a kid who is under a curse.
You and your family will be cursed for always and eternity.
A curse that began with his no-good, dirty, rotten, pig-stealing great-great-grandfather, and has since followed generations of Yelnats. Now, Stanley has been unjustly sent to a boys' detention center, Camp Green Lake, where the warden makes the boys build character by spending all day, every day, digging holes 5 feet wide and 5 feet deep. It doesn't take long for Stanley to realize there's more than character improvement going on at Camp Green Lake. The warden is looking for something. Stanley tries to dig up the truth in this inventive and darkly humorous tale of crime, punishment, and redemption. As I was reading this book, I was really able to connect with Stanley's new friend Zero, as he struggled to read and write throughout the story. While I was growing up, I always struggled with this, and it really made me connect to the story and Zero's emotions as he was trying to learn to read and write. This book is inspiring to myself and hopefully many others because it teaches you about loyalty, true friendship, and not judging others by their looks or their unfortunate mistakes in life. It is one of my favorite books of all time. The writing is simple, but not boring. Every character is amazingly developed and believable. I like how the story of the present and the story of the past connect to each other perfectly in the end. I highly suggest this book to everyone. The author's style is very unique, which makes it a memorable piece of literature. Sachar uses very short sentences. Some sentences are only a word long. On page 4, there are 2 sentences of that type. Usually and always. His sentences also get straight to the point. The first sentence, for example, is simply, "There is no lake at Camp Green Lake." It does not tell why there is no lake there or what Camp Green Lake was. If the reader reads on, they will find out more details, but usually only one idea is presented per sentence. Because this book is geared towards younger readers, I think the short and simple sentences allow for the reader to easily follow along and become captivated in the book because they are not overwhelmed by lengthy paragraphs and overly detailed descriptions. Some of the paragraphs in Holes are long, but some of them are very short. The short paragraphs usually catch the reader's attention. For example, on page 1, the author writes a long paragraph about something embarrassing that happened in Stanley's class. Then, the next paragraph is just one sentence. Stanley was arrested later that day. This sentence draws the reader's attention and surprises them because it is not the usual paragraph length that he or she would expect, nor is it the content that they expect right after a paragraph about school. This sets up the flow of the book because this book is targeted towards younger readers, used to few words because they would then cut down their intended audience. Combining short and sweet sentences with more detailed paragraphs allow for the author to captivate the readers but not overwhelm them with detail. Another thing that the author used to help initiate the flow of the book was cutting the length of the chapters. For example, chapter 2 is less than a half page long, and all the paragraphs on the page are only 1 sentence long. Because the chapters are so short, the teacher can get through them quickly. This helps the story go faster and helps maintain the attention of the reader because he or she is not continuously reading one chapter for a long time. The author's style is also to give the reader information implicitly. For example, the sploosh that Zero ate under the boat was really canned peaches made by Kate Barlow before she became an outlaw. The author never tells the reader this, but he emphasizes the fact that Kate was good at making canned peaches. He also gives the motive for the peaches being under Sam's boat. Sam was given peaches for doing tasks around Kate's schoolhouse. One sentence that really solidifies the fact that Sploosh's canned peaches is, he thought it might have been some kind of fruit at some time, perhaps peaches. Although Sachar never writes, Stanley and Zero drank the canned peaches that Kate Barlow had made years ago, he makes it clear implicitly. This helps the reader develop skills of inferring what is happening through textual cues. Things are not always blatantly said, and by not giving the answer, the reader is focused to infer and notice the detail that is hidden between the lines. Another benefit from this is that the reader is forced to recall information from earlier in the book. If he or she is not paying close enough attention when the subtle hints are thrown in there, they will have a hard time making connections between characters and events taking place in the book. This helps the reader with comprehension skills. Comprehension is an important skill for children to develop, and I think by Louis Sachar allowing the reader to make their own connections allows for this book to be used as a good example for reading comprehension. Through Holes, the author seems to be saying that the present builds on the past, and that knowing about the past is important. It goes back to that reoccurring quote.
If only the hatred could stand. The bark on the tree was as soft as the sky, while the wood waits below, hungry and lonely. He cries to the moon, if only.
The song that Madame Zeroni taught Eli Yelnats was subsequently passed down through generations until it reached Stanley and Zero. The lyrics of the song show that even wolves and birds wish that life was easier. It is a song to be sung by the Yelnats and Zeroni families, two families that have had bad luck and hard lives. It leads back to the example when Stanley and Zero are stranded in the desert. They climb to the top of a mountain that looks like God's thumb to find water. This is the same mountain that his great-grandfather survived on while he was stranded in the desert. If Stanley had not known the story about his great-grandfather finding refuge on God's thumb, he would not have been able to find refuge in the desert. Knowing about the past allowed him to survive in dire circumstances. Through Stanley, we also see that sometimes life throws you curveballs, and it is important to remember that even when things seem to be at their worst, through hard work and determination, you can overcome the negative and find positive on the other side of the story. Here is a picture of just some of the awards that Holes has won. In 1999, Holes won the Newbery Medal. In 1998, it won the National Book Award for Young People's Literature. Some other ones include the Publishers Weekly bestseller, a Hornbook Fanfare title, and a Texas Lone Star Award nominee. Given the number of awards Holes has won in the field of children's literature, it's a no-brainer that the book qualifies for that genre. But even if we couldn't figure it out from all those awards, we would probably notice that the book's protagonist is himself a kid. Although we don't actually know how old Stanley is, we can guess from what we hear of his life at home that he's probably in middle school. Not all books with a child as the main character can be classified as children's literature, of course, but this kid-centric, accessible novel is definitely a youth-adult hit. Holes also features a bunch of plot elements that are common in children's literature. Buried treasure, a dangerous journey, and evil, nasty adult characters. In fact, these same characteristics also qualify the book as an adventure story. While the book can sure be dark at times and even a little scary, overall it's a fun, exciting read. Forming solid friendships is clearly shown through Holes. Stanley and Zero's friendship lead to their mutual survival and wealth. Even though he is still facing adversity, once Stanley is secure in Zero's friendship, he feels happier than he has ever felt in his life. False friends who are only friendly when they're getting something they want, like X-Ray, are shown to be dangerous. A negative example of this would be when X-Ray stops getting benefits out of his friendship with Stanley. He becomes hostile towards him. Overall, Holes is an excellent book for anyone to read. It exemplifies what true friendship really is, and contains many literary elements that makes the book more enticing to read. Here is a list of 3 relevant websites for the book Holes. For a more detailed description of what these sites includes, please go to our Weebly page under Megan's podcast to find out more.
You got to go and dig those holes.
Man, I'm tired.
With broken hands and withered souls, emancipated from all you know. You got to go and dig those holes.
Man, you slow, bro.